And now, race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here's your Grand Marshal, Carol Shainheit.
Drivers, start your engines.
The engines are fired. We're here in Michigan. Michigan International Speedway is the next opportunity for some young driver to fulfill their dream of getting to victory lane. The 2010 season has already seen 5 different drivers claim their first career wins, from a rain-soaked road course to a half-mile high-bank track, and from a 29-year-old ARCA veteran to a driver not yet old enough to race on a super speedway. The possibilities are broad enough any driver may find victory lane today. Today, 41 drivers are in the Irish Hills of Michigan to test their skill and finesse at nearly 190 miles per hour. Welcome to the ARCA Racing Series presented by RE/MAX and Menards. It's the Racing for Wildlife 200 from the Michigan International Speedway. Rains came through the area earlier today. The temperature now 77 degrees, partly cloudy, but we are looking forward to 100 laps of racing from Michigan. 7 races already in the books. Patrick Sheltra topped your point standings, 30 points in front of Justin Marks. Mikey Kyle back there in 3rd. Steve Arpin and Craig Ghost rounding out your top 5. Craig Ghost, with his win from 6 days ago, is able to put his name into the top 5 in the point standings. Let's go trackside to Wendy Venerini.
Thank you, Rick. Craig Ghost starts from the pole today here at Michigan. It was just 6 days ago in victory lane at Pocono. When I talked to Craig, he said Monday it was a totally different story. Nobody knew I had just won the ARCA race. He went back to work at the dealership as the sales manager, where he dealt with some angry customers, not concerned that he had just won the ARCA race. He hopes to make it a repeat here in Michigan today. The car he races today is the same car he raced at Texas, where he finished 2nd to Steve Arpin. Now let's head over to Jim Trado.
Same story here, Wendy, for Mikey Kyle, the number 25 car. Die Hard, the sponsor for the 2nd straight race, and really it was a heartbreaking run for him at Pocono, leading 67 of 80 laps, yet coming up short and finishing 2nd in this very race car. What Mikey Kyle has as an advantage is the Toyota power here. 1.5-mile racetracks, intermediate tracks, the Toyotas have proven strong. 3 of the top 5 finishers at Pocono were Toyotas. Here today, 4 of the first 5 cars at the head of the field are Toyota Camrys. Mikey's bringing back a very fast race car, a car he led in testing here at Michigan a couple weeks ago, so he's very confident, and he's going to shake off what happened last week and learn from that, and he will be up front if he has a plan to the finish to be first. Guys?
Thank you, Jim Trado, and welcome everyone. Rick Allen, Phil Parsons. We've got our own Mikey up here, Michael Waltrip, joining us for the ARCA Racing Series. Now, Phil, we come to this racetrack, and we're the first of 3 races. This is the ARCA Racing Series, then the Camping World Truck Series, and the Cup Series. So a big opportunity for these drivers today.
It really is, and a lot of guys have used this opportunity to showcase their talent. Casey Mears is one here in this very race. Reed Sorensen, Stephen Wallace, Eric Darnell, David Strimmy have all come here to try to show the people that they can get it done on this kind of racetrack, and that's what all these guys out here are going to try to do. They know that the Truck Series owners are here watching. They know that the Cup Series owners are here watching. It's a tremendous opportunity. If they run well here, then some people are going to notice.
You know what I love, Rick? They're going to show off here. They're going to want to show these owners what they've got, what they can do on this big, fast Michigan 2-mile racetrack. Then they're going to load up, take a month off, and get to the heart of the schedule, where they're going to race on dirt. They're going to race on short tracks. I mean, road courses, super speedways. That's what's going to define this battle for the championship. The top 8 are only separated by 200 points. So a lot of things are going to happen this summer. And I promise, if you can win at Michigan and then go win on the dirt, it's going to get someone's attention.
And Parker Kligerman did exactly that last year. He won here at Michigan and won both those dirt races. Had never been on dirt before.
And by the way, normally we all wear the same outfits, but Michael just came off of the racetrack after qualifying, and so that is the reason for the driver's suit up here. But that gives him a great perspective of what's going to take place on the racetrack today in the ARCA Racing Series. Crowd awaiting the green flag, and when we come back, we'll see 100 laps from Michigan. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is brought to you by RE/MAX. Find your dream home at RE/MAX.com. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards. And welcome back to Michigan International Speedway here in Brooklyn, Michigan. And it's turned out to be a gorgeous day. We want to take a look at our starting grid as 41 cars will take to this 2-mile racetrack. Up in the front row, it's Craig Ghost, who won most recently in Pocono, and Mikey Kyle, who actually finished second in that race. They will make up row 1.
Back in the second row, we have our point leader, Patrick Sheltra. As a matter of fact, the top 3 qualifiers are exactly how they finished last week at Pocono.
Clay Rogers has run some Camping World Truck Series races. He'll start on the outside of row 2.
Nelson Piquet continues to impress. Formula One veteran coming over here, going to try to ply his trade at stock cars and trucks, and qualifies up in the top 5.
In row 4, Steve Arpin, Joey Coulter. Steve got his first win of the year earlier and backed it right up with his next win. So a 2-time winner this year already.
A guy with a little bit of momentum coming in here to Michigan is Frank Kimmel. A couple of top 5 finishes in the last 2 races, and he knows how to win a championship or 2. You put him on a roll, he'll be trouble this summer.
Or 9.
Yeah, maybe 9's closer.
9 championships for Frank Kimmel. You see the rest of the field. Again, 41 cars starting.
Look back there in the 19th place. That's Rob Brandt. The reason why I mentioned him, last week at Pocono, he qualified all the way back in the 33rd spot and drove up to 6th. He was the only one of the top 10 that didn't start in the top 10. So that tells you he doesn't really care where he qualifies. He was fast in practice earlier here at Michigan, and he didn't get a good qualifying run again.
See Chase Medioli back in row number 13. Had a career day going at Pocono last week. Broke a drive shaft on pit road.
I raced with Larry Metters back when I first started. He was black number 05, and he won all the races around Owensboro. He's still plugging away at it, just like I am.
Guys, let's take a look at our Burger King track description. Of course, Michael, you just came off the racetrack. Talk a little bit about this 2-mile racetrack.
Well, you know, at Pocono, you could understand the importance of starting up front. It's very difficult to pass. The turns are flat, and you know, it's really hard to make your way up through the field. But here, it's on. You can go every which way when you get to the corners, Rick. There'll be guys that will have success riding right up next to the fence, and there'll be other guys that can do the same thing right at the bottom of the racetrack. So where you start here at Michigan doesn't really have a whole lot to do with where you're going to finish. Other than this is a high horsepower track. You know, you got to have a lot of power to be fast here at Michigan. So if you get it all buckled to the ground properly in qualifying, that shows you've got that fast car to win the race with.
Bill, our race analysis, 100 laps, 200 miles.
Yeah, you can see the race is 100 laps. Pit window 40 to 50. A couple of crew chiefs in the garage area told me they thought their engine builders said, I believe we can make this on 1 stop. Remember, these guys qualified yesterday. They did not top these cars off with fuel, so they know they've got 3 or 4 laps of fuel out of these cars.
We'll ride along with a few different drivers, one of those being the 16 of Joey Coulter. He will start in the 8th position as he'll try to move up to the front. We'll ride along with him. We've got another camera on Steve Arpin's car in the number 55, and he starts in the 7th position. So those two making up row number 4. Let's go back to the track and hear from Jim Trado.
Guys, just thought I'd point out one driver to watch in this race is Chad Finley. Home state race, a huge event for him. Just his 3rd start in the season. But if you recall, last race at Pocono, he finished 3rd, and he said, you know what, we have a better car for Michigan. Airlift, the sponsor on this race car, has been involved with NASCAR since 1949. They're making a return here with this young Michigan pilot, just 18 years of age. Certainly has a very bright future, but man, after Pocono last week and he has a better race car this week, don't count out Chad Finley. Wendy?
Thank you, Jim. Another guy to look for today is Clay Rogers. It's his first start in 2010. The last time he raced with us in ARCA back at Rockingham last year, he finished 5th. Now, Clay is well known in the Pro Cup Series, has 3 of the last 5 races of wins. Clay Rogers hopes to repeat victory lane for the first time in the ARCA Series.
Green flag in the air.
And it is not sanitary. It wasn't clean at all. Clay Rogers got on the gas, and his car went every which way.
Mikey Kyle, the 25 car, started from the outside of the front row, completely sideways when he jumped in the throttle.
Craig Ghost was the first to cross the stripe when the green flag flew. Of course, our pole winner. Patrick Sheltra has moved up into the 2nd spot in that green number 60.
There's Nelson Piquet Jr., the 6th car, trying to work his way under Joey Coulter. There's Frank Kimmel. Frank had a very good race car. Felt like he should have qualified.
Oh, man, that's tough.
You got a little bit loose there, Nelson Piquet.
You get up that close to another car, Piquet will learn. It'll go around on you in a hurry.
Frank's going to make it 3 wide here.
We saw in the Burger King track description, obviously it's a 2-mile racetrack, but it seems like they are turning almost the whole way around this place. The corners are huge.
They're very sweeping turns, and they're not banked a great deal. You know, usually when you have this type of speed, over 200 miles an hour down in the corner, you got a little bit more banking to lean against. Here at Michigan, what you have is a lot of room to negotiate your, to let your car slide up the hill if it won't stick. But like PK on the inside of Coulter, when you don't have that room, it gets a little dicey.
Mikey Cal goes right to the bottom of the racetrack, has a great run through the center of the corner, pulls up a side of the 60 of Patrick Sheltra.
So they're side by side, coming out of 3 and 4. Those two battling for the second spot. Again, Mikey Kyle started second, but lost that position to Patrick Sheltra on the start of the race, and now Sheltra's battling back on the outside.
Saw right below that his career best finish last week at Pocono, second, and severely disappointed to finish second last week at Pocono. Had a pole run by over 0.8 of a second, Michael, over the second place guy. Dominated the early part of the race, but Craig Ghost was in the right place at the right time, caught a break with a caution flag, and held off Mikey Kyle for the win.
Look at how good that car is down on the bottom. That's really difficult to do. He can't quite complete the pass, but he's certainly holding his own down there. Sheltra's got it wound up on the top side, taking advantage of the aerodynamics too. He doesn't have a car to lean against, so he's got plenty of air to lean on, and that makes the turn easier for him to complete.
One of the things a lot of these drivers have to rely upon is 2 weeks ago there was a test session here, and so they were able to get some track time, and one of the fastest was that 25 of Mikey Kyle.
As a matter of fact, the guys that qualified first, second, and third were the 3 fastest cars in that test. Not in that order, but nonetheless the top 3 guys were in the top 3 positions. Any track time these guys can get is going to help.
Now look, Clay Rogers just saw what a time Mikey Kyle had down underneath Patrick Sheltra, but what'd he do? As soon as he got a chance, dove right to the bottom. He said, you might not make it, but I think I can. But that's very, very hard. If you can understand that car on the outside is just sucking all the air off your car. It's wanting to pull it around, and it makes it really hard to run on the bottom of the racetrack. If you can get it wound up on the top side, going's a lot easier.
Steve Arpin here in the Mike's Hard Lemonade as we ride along and see the battle just in front of us. Again, that 42 also in this mix is Clay Rogers, just behind the 60 and the 25.
Meanwhile, Craig Ghost has left this group. He's almost 3 seconds ahead of the second place car because of that side-by-side battle for 3 or 4 laps.
The 25 and 55 are team cars from Venturini Motorsports.
Hey guys, let's look at the start of this race. It was so fun. Well, for us.
Yeah. Not real sanitary. Watch that Mikey Kyle on the outside the 25 car.
Watch out. If you wonder how much power these cars have at home, he's running 55 or 60 miles an hour. Goes to push the gas down, just spins those rear tires, and those tires are sticky. They got a lot of grip, but he didn't have enough grip to get all that power to the ground. He about crashed there early, and look at the result. 3 and 4 wide in the first turn. 850 horsepower they're trying to get hooked up to the ground here. Mikey Kyle took another run at Patrick Sheltra, not able to do anything. Now Steve Arpin is going to go after Clay Rogers.
Looks like he's going to take that spot away from Clay.
Look how good that 25 car is through the center of the corner.
He's
going to make it this time.
Yeah, we saw it before, him going to the bottom of the racetrack trying to get by the 60. This time he makes the pass, takes over second. So Mikey Kyle moves back up into the second spot. Patrick Sheltra drops back to third. But right now, no one has anything for Craig Ghost, who is almost 4 seconds in front of second place.
There's a good battle back here. That's Grant Enfinger in the inside. The 09 car. Rob Brent just went by him. The 36 car on the outside. That is a battle up just inside the top 15, a battle for 13.
Both these guys know how to get to the front. Certainly, we talked about Rob Brent last week, driving all the way through the field up to the 6th spot from 33rd. So,
and that's Chad McCumbee, the 1 car. He's a former winner. 2 wins in this series. Here, very, very slow on the inside of the racetrack. Got Rob Brent out of the throttle that allowed Grant Enfinger to drive by on the outside.
Looks like Enfinger's got a good run. He's going to go to the bottom of Chad McCumbee. Those guys really checked up when they got down into turn 3 there, and Enfinger's going to take advantage of that.
I talked to Grant in the garage area yesterday. Said they don't have a whole lot of support to run many more races, but whenever he shows up, he really runs well. Had a couple runner-up finishes. He's only had 11 previous starts in his career and 2 runner-up finishes last year at Chicago and Talladega.
Did you see how he respected that position he was in as he went into turn 1? He knew he was really low, had a car on his outside, so he really backed up the corner, got in easy. It cost him the position there on the track, but it certainly kept him from spinning out and causing himself bigger problems. Look, now he's going to go down on the low side and complete that pass.
Yeah, great run through the center of the corner, much like Mikey Kyle was able to do to get by the 60 car Patrick Sheltra.
So Josh Richards in the 99 drops back a spot. Grant Infinger takes 11th away from him. Back up front, though, Craig Gose. Nobody's going to take anything away from him. He has over a 3-second lead over Mikey Kyle. Steve Arpin running in the 3rd spot. Sheltra and Rogers rounding out our top 5. Tonight, NASCAR marches into Michigan, where everyone's revved up as Casey Mears, Sam Hornish Jr., and Ricky Carmichael stop by the Ultimate Friday Night House Party. Don't miss NASCAR Trackside tonight at 8 Eastern, only on Speed. Green flag laps continuing from Michigan International Speedway. Craig Gose still has a 3.5-second lead over Mikey Kyle, Steve Arpin, Patrick Sheltra, and Clay Rogers rounding out your top 5.
But when he built the majority of that 3.5-second lead, Phil, Mikey Kyle was hung behind Patrick Sheltra. Clayton Rogers, they were all mixing it up. While that was happening, Craig Gose just drove off. Since then, he was almost 4 seconds ahead. Since then, Mikey Kyle's been able to run laps as faster than Gose, and has closed that margin. So Craig might have had a lot of confidence about the start of his race and said, I'm driving away from these people, but things are changing now.
What else is going on with that 25, Jim?
Well, he's just complaining a bit free on exit. So I talked to Frank Kimmel before this race. He said, I don't hear too many cars loose or free, but Mikey Kyle right now is free on exit, so he's searching the racetrack here. The nice wide Michigan, giving him that cushion to find more speed as he exits off the 4th corner. Also talking about the other car that started up front that was top 3 in practice speeds, Patrick Sheltra, that green number 60. He's complaining about tight condition here. That's how he's losing ground to our race leader, Craig Gose.
Meanwhile, the 55 car, Steve Arpin, has been able to get by Patrick Sheltra to take over that 3rd position. Now teammates Mikey Kyle and Steve Arpin running 2nd and 3rd. Second, third, that's right.
In the garage after practice, I heard a lot of the drivers complaining about a tight situation on a racetrack that has so much, it seems like, turns on it. How do you fight that that problem?
Well, you just try to move your line around. That's what most drivers love about Michigan. If you're a little bit tight down on the bottom, well, then you go in the middle. If it doesn't work there, you start to really run the high line. These guys don't have a whole lot of experience, just a handful of starts on tracks like this, so they're not as confident about running a couple of feet off that outside wall like you'll see in the Sprint Cup practice in the morning. Those guys will be right out next to the wall. These cats might have to start experimenting with that to see if they can find some better grip for their front ends up there. Generally speaking, if you're tight down on the bottom, you can go up top and it'll free you up. You can run a better lap time.
Good battle right here. Joey Coulter, we're riding along with Joey. Right in front of him, Nelson Piquet Jr. That's a battle for the 7th position.
Way up in front of him.
Another thing
yellow
that's
car, Frank Kimmel.
A big factor here in Michigan is the draft. Did you see Coulter really pull up on Piquet Jr. down the straightaway? He just was running in that void of air behind Piquet and was able to close in on him.
Clay Rogers trying to get by Patrick Sheltra for the 4th spot on the racetrack. He goes to the low side. We'll see if he can make it stick through 1 and 2.
Taking the short way around and doing a good job, but it's hard to do.
Not gonna. He's gonna pull up in front of him. He didn't have much anyway.
Well, and we're seeing Patrick Sheltra run the higher line. Is that more likely because he's got a tight car and trying to find that even balance you were talking about, Michael?
Yeah, that 42 car of Rogers, it was just right when it went down on the bottom of the racetrack. He could really make time, but that's what some of these guys are unable to do, so they'll begin to work the middle of the track. I wouldn't be surprised eventually to see some of them right out next to that outside wall. On the turns, obviously everybody comes up on the straightaway, but then want to diamond it down into the corners. Some of these cats in the Cup Series practice you'll see on Speed tomorrow, they run right next to the wall, all the way down the straightaway around the whole turn.
Justin Marks in the 32 got his first win earlier this year at Palm Beach, and he's in front of Chad McCumbee. That's a cool 32 of Marks and Chad McCumbee in the 1.
That's a cool place to get your first win. I won down at Palm Beach.
I think any place to get your first win would be probably a great place. And I'm sure a lot of people would say Michigan would be their favorite place to get their first win.
Our champion from last year, Justin Lofton, got his first win 2 years ago here in this race.
Frank Kimmel, the only driver in the field that has won at this racetrack. He actually has been to victory lane twice, back in 1998 and again in 2005.
We talk about Piquet Jr.'s learning curve. What about following Frank Kimmel for a little bit if you want to learn something? 9 championships. And that car this year is a lot faster than it was last year. He's able to run toward the front. Had his best qualifying effort in a year at Pocono last week when he was 2nd, and had a solid start here today. So good start to the season for Kimmel. And he certainly knows how to operate on the dirt and the bull rings that are coming up on this schedule. Look at PK Jr. is going to make the move on the bottom of Kimmel.
Really kind of threaded the needle there between the slower lap car on the inside and Kimmel on the outside, and Nelson Piquet Jr. takes that spot away from Kimmel.
I have really been impressed this year with Nelson Piquet Jr. The first time we saw him was for their ARCA race here. I mean, ARCA race in the series, ARCA series back at Daytona. Came back with a 6th place finish in the Camping World Truck Series at Daytona that same week, and he had ran the race and got a top 10 finish earlier this year in an ARCA series race at Texas. Came back and ran really well last week in the Camping World Truck, and then jumps back over doing double duty again this weekend.
Seat time is what drivers are always talking about to get better, and that's what Nelson Piquet Jr. is doing. Craig Gose is continuing to put cars a lap down. Right now there's 26 cars on the lead lap. Craig Gose has a 4-second lead over Mikey Kyle at Michigan International Speedway. Tomorrow, one of the greatest racing events in the world returns to speed, the 24-hour of Le Mans. To win here, it takes more than skill. You must have strategy, endurance, and, well, a little luck. Don't miss the 24 hours of Le Mans. Live coverage begins tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, only on Speed.
Saw Frank Kimmel go right back by Nelson Piquet Jr. We saw Nelson Piquet get by Frank. Frank just took it back from him.
Yeah, Joey Coulter drove up on the back of these two, and Frank made his way around Piquet. Now Coulter's trying to do the same down on the bottom of the racetrack.
18 laps are complete here at Michigan of the 100. You mentioned earlier the pit window, normally between 40 and 50. We're coming up on about halfway of a fuel run. We've run green since the drop of the green flag, so we haven't had any slowdowns or cautions to affect that fuel performance right now. So guys might start thinking, okay, how far can we actually push it on this first run?
There's Grant Enfinger. He's worked his way into the top 10. He's going to drive by Nelson Piquet. You're going to try to get Joey Coulter too. You know, last week at Pocono, when we had 2 caution flags for a 200-mile race, one of those was because cars began running out of fuel, trying to stretch their fuel, and we had one little minor innocent spin. So a very, very clean race there. So don't, you know, maybe these guys can't expect a bunch of caution laps.
Joey Coulter on the outside, and that number 16. What's happening with that team, Wendy?
Well, Joey Coulter celebrated his 20th birthday on Tuesday, and right now he doesn't feel very good about his race car like he did on his birthday. The car is sliding around a lot on the front tires in 1 and 2, and especially off of 4. Harold Hawley, his crew chief, is trying to keep him motivated on their round of pit stops, like you said, between 40 and 50 laps for Joey Coulter, but not comfortable with the car. Jim?
And Nelson Piquet Jr., the number 6 car, has lost 3 positions in the last 4 laps. As soon as he rocketed past Frank Kimmel, his car developed a tight condition. The spotter for this team for Nelson Piquet is Mike Kalanoff, who's spotter for Nelson every time he's raced during the ARCA series. He's not happy with the handling right now. They're saying hang on to it, find a different line in the center of the corner, and Piquet is now trying to gather these 3 cars back in.
But that name, Mike Kalanoff, he spotted for Matt Kenseth when he won his championship in the Cup Series, so a lot of experience up there on the spotter stand.
And you know, Phil, you've got to understand with Nelson Piquet Jr., every time that car changes, you know, he said, I passed Frank Kimmel, things were going fine. Next time, now I'm pushing. That's stuff he's got to cycle through in his brain to try to understand, how can that happen? Why did that happen? And what am I going to do about it? Can I move my line around? So he's just soaking up so much knowledge and learning so much. But there is indeed a ton to figure out when you go from the world he was racing into this one.
So Nelson Piquet running in the tire marks of the 44 of Frank Kimmel. Out in front of this field, it's Craig Gose.
Talk about coming into his own. Craig ran the full season for Eddie Sharp Racing last year, finished 10th in this race. Already this year, in the few races that they've had, he's had 4 top 4 finishes, 2 runner-ups, a 4th, and that big win, his first career win last week at Pocono.
Mikey Kyle, after leading the most laps a week ago in Pocono, ended up 2nd, and he was not happy about that. He knew he had the best car on the racetrack, but wasn't able to find victory lane.
Craig Gose and Mike Kyle were the only 2 cats to lead last week in Pocono, and they're running 1-2 again, and seems like a theme here.
How about Steve Arpin? What a terrific season he's had. 2 wins already at Salem in Texas. Got an opportunity to run for Junior Motorsports in the Nationwide Series. Told me I think Daytona is going to be his next race with Junior Motorsports down there. So a bright future for Steve Arpin.
Yeah, I was watching you guys in Texas. I watched him crash. Had to go do an appearance for Napa. I came back and he's in victory lane. I said, how did that happen? This young kid knew how to persevere through some real challenges early in that race and got that win.
How about Clay Rogers in the 42 out of Troutman, North Carolina? Here's a driver who has tried his luck at different vehicles. He was in the Camping World Truck Series for a little while, has run the ARCA Racing Series.
I think he was our Pro Cup champion last year in 2009, wasn't he, Wendy?
Yes, he sure was. And Clay Rogers hopes to get to victory lane today and tomorrow in the Pro Cup Series. Nobody wanted to see this race get in. You know, they were calling for rain for the race time today. Fortunately, that rain passed through. Clay Rogers will be able to race tomorrow for Pro Cup at South Boston Speedway. But yesterday in practice for ARCA, he had clutch problems and he only got 9 laps of practice for Clay Rogers. This is a guy that doesn't race in ARCA very often. His first start in 2010 in the ARCA Series, he was top 10 in practice, qualified fourth, and Clay Rogers is fast here at Michigan.
Still in that 4th position, and just behind him in the 60 is Patrick Shelter, our points leader coming into this race. He's actually held the points lead for the last 2 races. He has a 30-point lead over Justin Marks when the green flag flew.
7 starts this year, 7 top 10 finishes for Patrick Shelter. That's how you win championships.
Yeah, that equals a point lead, doesn't it, generally? Because we saw the impressive numbers that Arpin had put up, but yet Shelter's leading the points.
And Patrick Shelter, another amazing thing. Patrick was involved in an incident a year ago at Daytona and then came back after recovering from a back injury to get his first win at Salem in 2009. And so a big year for the 60 driver, Patrick Shelter. Still out front, though, the 81 of Craig Gose. His lead now 4.6 seconds over Mikey Kyle. The young fans of stock car racing want to see who's going to make it to victory lane today. Well, we have a first-time winner. You got to stick around to find out. Welcome back to Brooklyn, Michigan, the Michigan International Speedway. It is the ARCA Michigan 200 for the ARCA Racing Series. Craig Gose still out in front, running second, Mikey Kyle.
Yeah, Grant Enfinger just was able to take over the 5th position from Patrick Shelter. Grant's really doing a nice job. Started back in the 17th position. Chad Hockenbraw.
Yeah, 27 laps, and we've got somebody on pit road already.
Got trouble.
We have a problem on the racetrack. That's the 99 of Josh Richards. The right front looks to have blown on that race car. We are still green, though. There is no yellow flag. As you see the 99 and now some debris on the racetrack. I'm sure that the ARCA Racing officials are going to see that and probably slow this field down.
Yeah, you see there's some debris right there on the racetrack, and that is in fact on the racetrack.
Right off turn 4. It's low in the groove, but see what happens. It blew a right front tire. It looks
There's
like
the caution flag. And it comes out for debris. That debris we talked about on the racetrack. So after 27 laps of green flag racing, the right front goes away on the 99 of Josh Richards. He gets up into the outside wall and does quite a bit of damage to the right side of that race car.
That's a team car to the 09 of Grant Enfinger, but tough break for Josh. Just saw him run a K&N Pro Series, the East Division race last week at Martinsville, Virginia. So trying to get some versatility going on in his stock car career.
We saw the 58 of Chad Hockenbraw on the pit road just moments before the 99 of Josh Richards got into the wall. Potentially, I mean, it would have been too early for fuel. Maybe Chad Hockenbraw felt something and decided that it was time for him to come in and maybe change right side tires.
See way off in the distance the 99 of Josh Richards.
It's already up into the outside wall.
Yeah, that was way early, but it looked like classic right front tire failure, whether he cut something, ran over a piece of debris possibly, or maybe even this early in the race could have had a bit of a rub on a fender or something that finally took that tire out.
He was running in the 19th position. Right now 18 cars on the lead lap. The 17 of Chase Mattioli will get our Aaron's lucky dog.
Shedding debris coming off of the race car, and that's why we are under our first caution from Michigan International Speedway in the ARCA Racing Series.
That car stalled or stopped just at the entrance to pit road, so I wouldn't be surprised if the ARCA officials will leave pit road closed right now until they get that car off pit road.
I believe these guys will come to pit road. They're pretty much over halfway through a run, so they'll come in, get some tires, get some adjustments, and go at it again.
And we know they'll have to stop again because at best they can run about 50 laps.
We're going to step away quickly, but be back for those pit stops here on Speed. Tomorrow, the world's toughest trucks will be in Michigan, where bragging rights are on the line. Because whether you're for Chevy, Ford, or Toyota, only one could claim victory. Don't miss the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series live from Michigan tomorrow, 1:30 Eastern, only on Speed.
Look at all those people that are already here for this. They wanted to see some ARCA racing, some trucks tomorrow in Speed.
We also have a few Dodges in the field tomorrow for that Camping World Truck Series race.
They're going for the bragging rights as well.
Absolutely.
Of course, all the manufacturers.
Just suburban Detroit here, essentially.
The field is, well, at least a few of the lead lap cars are making their way onto pit road. Let's head down there to Wendy Benverini. And
now,
Jim,
first car to be pitting will be Mikey Kyle from second position in the Sears Auto Center Toyota. He mentioned there was a little loose in, so they're going to fix that problem first. Actually, he was free in, free in. They're going to change an air pressure adjustment. They said we're going to change one thing at a time. He said he also was tight in the center and ticked free off of turn 2. So with this air pressure adjustment, they'll try to fix his car and get him down and away. His Venturini Motorsports teammate on the bottom of your screen, Steve Arpin, in the Mike's Hard Lemonade Chevrolet, said he was a little loose in, was tight in the center, also got loose in traffic. So they're going to take a little bit off the track bar, make a wedge adjustment, and fix it with some air pressure for Billy Venturini and that team. Wendy?
Well, Craig Ghost, hey, he's already headed towards turn 1. It was 4 tires, fuel, a quick stop. The car was trying to roll the top a little bit better, so crew chief Johnny Allen wanted to free him up. They went up on the right rear air pressure, a half a round out on the track bar, of course, 4 tires and fuel, but Craig Ghost right now knows how fast his race car is and basically just wanted to know what the competition was doing back there on the green flag runs. Craig Ghost very pleased with his race car so far.
See the 77 of Tom Hessert. They actually had to push start that race car to get it going off of pit road.
Had a position change. It looks like Steve Arpin got off pit road ahead of Mikey Kyle.
Well, today momentum is something, isn't it? You got Craig Ghost here coming off that big win and comes down pit road. Obviously, they're nose to tail virtually when they come down pit road, and he leaves with about 30 car lengths over the second place guy.
Great crowd here in the Irish Hills of Michigan for the ARCA Michigan 200. We'll see more green flag racing. We return to Brooklyn. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR.
New Fuel Max tires help you have a winning fuel strategy. And it could come down to a fuel strategy here at Michigan International Speedway. Welcome back to the ARCA Racing Series in Brooklyn, Michigan. Stop number 8 on the 2010 tour.
You know, we've got some great pictures from Goodyear over the years from that blimp, have we not?
Certainly. Look at that.
Speaking of great pictures, how about this beautiful facility and the upgrades that they have done? $17 million they've spent, and most of it has been on the infield. This is the media center area. Again, the media center underneath, you see some of the suites up above. They've got over 20,000 square feet of glass, so great viewing areas here.
You're talking about $55 million total that they've spent in upgrades and enhancements here at Michigan International Speedway. That's just the pit suites and the press room down there. That's $17 million of it was spent.
And in phase 2, they're going to redo all the garage area where the cars park and the teams work on those cars. So quite a commitment by MIS here to get things upgraded. And the racing is always fun. You talked about a fuel mileage race. We've seen that 100 times before. Dale Jr. went a couple of years ago on a fuel mileage finish, and these guys are all lined up and ready to go at it again.
Dakota Armstrong on the inside in the 22. Craig Ghost on the outside in the 81. Ghost is your race leader. Dakota Armstrong, a lap down car on the bottom of the racetrack.
Remember, in this series, lead lap cars on the outside for restarts, lap down cars on the inside.
Dakota Armstrong needs to hold that position up there at the front. He got a lap down, couldn't quite get the Aaron's lucky dog. Look at the start that Ghost gets. That looks a whole lot like the first start, doesn't it? He just drove away.
Here comes Steve Arpin in the 55. Trying to chase down the 81 of Craig Ghost.
See, Frank Kimmel got marred back in traffic there, back in the 14th place on the restart. And that's what's so fun about those double file restarts they have in NASCAR, Phil. He's in 14th in the 14th place, but he lined up 28th in the ARCA series because the lap cars were down on the inside. In Cup, he would have been on the 7th row with a closer shot at the front. So this is fun for, I don't know if these guys are quite ready for all that. You know, we see those restarts in Cup, guys start running over each other. So this is a great way to learn how to race at MIS, but I don't know if you want to learn how to do a double file restart here.
And when we talk to the ARCA officials, they say exactly that. He said, I'm not sure we're ready at this point to have the shootout style double file restarts.
I agree with that. I love these cats get to learn how to race in a more relaxed fashion. I mean, you look at Ghost and Arpin, Mikey Kyle, 3 wide here by, or trying by Patrick Shelter. Inside Joey Coulter, will that work? That's not going to
slide up.
3 wide. Sheltra on the inside. Coulter right in the middle. Dakota Armstrong on the outside. Sheltra is able to get by the 16 of Joey Coulter.
Look at the run PK has.
PK Jr., Nelson PK Jr. in the 6 makes the run to make it 3 wide on the bottom, takes the spot away from the 16 of Coulter.
Well, can I tell you what Sheltra did? He acted like there wasn't anybody else on the track. He ran in there, slid up the hill, made a move over, and then cut Dakota Armstrong off. So that's one way to do it, I guess.
He's waiting for the spotter to say clear, and it's, well, I'm pretty sure I'm probably clear anyway.
And look who's tied to him. We talked about Nelson PK Jr. trying to learn how to work on his car and what it's telling him when it starts to get tight or loose in the turns, and gets a pit stop, makes some adjustments, and he's right back on it.
Battle for second. The 25 just behind the 55, Steve Barpin, and the 25 of Mikey Kyle. Those two teammates running nose to tail now.
You can see Kyle thinks he's got a faster car. He tried to look on the bottom of Arpin.
Heard a black flag was posted for the 7.
Hey, doesn't have a window there, you see.
Needs the right side window.
It was there, it just fell in. They don't usually fall in.
They don't usually fall in.
They're continuing to battle for the second spot. Mikey Kyle on the inside, Steve Arpin on the outside. Look at Steve Arpin pull away on the higher line coming out of turn 4.
You know, it's a little bit unusual in the fact that these guys are definitely teammates out of the Venturini Motorsports stable. Steve Arpin's in a Chevrolet, and Mikey Kyle's in a Toyota.
That is unusual. Don't you just love this track, Phil? You got Mikey Kyle trying to look at the bottom, and Arpin's holding the line on the top, and both of them can run basically the same speed. That speed isn't anything compared to what that 81 can run. Craig Ghost is driving away.
Yeah,
2.5 second lead already in what, about 3 laps since the restart?
A familiar sight. We saw it at the drop of the green flag initially, and now he's done it again on the restart. 2.5 seconds between Craig Ghost and Steve Arpin.
Now, you talked about momentum. Craig Ghost coming here after his first win last week, gets the pole. His crew's on it. They're making pit stops couple seconds faster than the other teams, and then they throw the green. He just keeps driving away. This battle for second, though, continues to wage.
He's got a great run this time. Mikey Kyle's going to make the pass on Steve Arpin, and you see at the opposite end of the spectrum, the 09 of Grant Enfinger has the hood up on the 09.
Yeah, electrical problem with the 09, Jim, it looks like.
Ignition, guys. I don't know exactly what it is, but the car is losing power, and Enfinger had such confidence coming into this. He thought this car would be a car to contend with. He's finished 3rd, 4th, 5th, no worse than 5th when he's running on these types of racetracks on his limited schedule. So unfortunately for Enfinger, very confident, very high before the race. The boys slowly putting the hood back down on that Ford.
Well, Jim, that confidence was well-founded. He was fast. He had driven from 17th up to the top 5. He looked like one of the cars that could indeed contend with Craig Ghost, so that's a shame. Runs a limited schedule, just tries to scrape together enough funds to get to come racing, and when he comes, Phil, he's ready.
Yeah, you're right. He got up to the 5th position, started back in the 17th position, and in just about 30 laps made his way up into the top 5.
There's 18 cars on the lead lap. That's because we have had a very strong performance out of the 81 of Craig Ghost. Right now he has 2.6 seconds over second place Mikey Kyle, Steve Arpin, Clay Rogers, and Patrick Sheltra rounding out our top 5 here in Michigan. Sunday NASCAR race day races into Michigan as Darrell Waltrip makes his race day debut to break down the fallout from Pocono. Plus, we'll take an inside look at the struggles of Roush Fenway Racing. NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot, live from Michigan, Sunday at 10 Eastern, only on Speed. Turned out to be a gorgeous day of racing.
A perfect day.
Hills. Again, we had rain that came through the area just after 1 o'clock today, and they were able to dry the racetrack. They got Cup qualifying done, and now the race, and we're seeing a little bit of a slow car on the inside.
Looked like Nelson PK Jr. thought about going down on that apron, then he hit that big bump on the front straightaway and said, I better get back up on the racetrack.
And he had that option, no out of bounds here, so he could have done that. A lot of guys you see qualify will go down to straighten out that straightaway below that line.
One thing that PK is dealing with, you know, we heard about after 20 laps or so, his car got really tight on him, but began to push in the corners. I'm sure he's setting the run along right now, Phil, and that thing feels pretty good. But now he has in his brain, when is it going to go tight? Is it going to do that again? And how will I adjust for that? That's all part of learning how to race these cars. And man, I just love the way he's learned. He completes lap after lap after lap, puts himself in a position to get all the experience he can, and runs fast while doing so.
Here's our runner-up point man right now, Justin Marks. I've watched him a little bit. He's been actually up even higher down in that end of the racetrack in 1 and 2. When we talk, there's Rob. Is that Rob Brent?
Rob Brent with a little left front fender damage. It's starting to peel off on the inside.
He's running in the 7th position. Looks like part of his fender, part of the side, the rear, the front fender is actually coming off. I'm sure the ARCA officials are watching our pictures right now to see if that looks like that could potentially fly off there.
I think it's okay. I don't think it'll fly off. And I just love the way this cat races. We talked about him coming from 33rd to 6th at Pocono last week. How about 19th to the top 10 already here at Michigan? So not only is he a fast racer, he also can make some good moves in traffic. Going to make his NASCAR Nationwide Series debut next week at Road America.
Yeah, that's his background. Road racing is his background. Had a great run earlier this year at that rain-soaked West Palm Beach, Florida.
Take a look at this. Can you see his feet inside here? You can see into the cockpit of that race car.
You can definitely see inside the cockpit. We talk about crush panels and knocking crush panels out. That's what that is. That's actually bent forward. Is his crush panel. Sometimes when guys get carbon monoxide poisoning, it's because of the crush panels being knocked out. And obviously right now with Rob, that crush panel is not doing a whole lot, Wendy.
Yeah, not a whole lot of talk by Rob Brent about that fender. I think they're trying to keep that piece of information away from him, Rocky Ryan, his spotter. Now, keep in mind, Rob Brent comes into this race, like you said, he started 19th, has a very fast race car, but it has been loose for Rob Brent. They tightened him up on that last stop with air pressure adjustment, and they also think the track will continue to tighten up as it gets cooler. They were reminding him, as crew chief Dave Lanier said, besides the top 3 cars, you are one of the fastest on the racetrack, and that, of course, gives a driver a lot of confidence. Jim?
Just a quick update on Grant Enfinger, the 09 car we talked about. It was a battery. The alternator was fine. They had 12 volts. They changed the battery in that race car, so for the pride and the experience, he's going to go back out on the racetrack. And because of the funding through Roush Yates Performance Group, he's going to be able to race again. We'll see him as soon as Iowa. So Enfinger, again, a contender. What this kid can do with the full funding, I don't know, but he's very strong on the racetrack. And again, funding through Roush Yates Performance Parts has him on the racetrack at Iowa. He was going to maybe be done after this race.
And by the way, he's back on the racetrack after we saw him on pit road with the hood up, and they thought there might be an electrical issue. But it looks as though the cars are running pretty well right now. Yeah,
there's a battle for 9th. Brian Silas is getting under Justin Marks. That is a battle for the 9th position. Wendy, what's going on with Justin Marks?
Well, Justin Stay didn't start out the greatest. He had transmission trouble yesterday. They worked on the car, which meant they had to give up their 12th qualifying position and start in the back of the pack for today's race. He made it up to the top 15 in just 12 laps in the first part of the race, but he was wrecking loose, really loose all the way around for Justin Marks. They went down 3 rounds on the track bar, and he also gained 5 spots on pit road alone, which put him up to 8th. He's now lost a spot or 2 on that racetrack, but Justin Marks has been working his tail off from starting from the rear of the field.
Wendy, we got RCR driver Tim George Jr. is going to look to get underneath that 32 at Justin Marks. Has some experience up on the spotter stand. Mike Dillon is on the spotter stand for RCR and Tim George Jr. Tim had a great run on the road course. Yeah. Had a top 3 finish at Talladega, finished 3rd, and had a top 10 last week at Pocono. So this team and this driver continues to get better and better and better. That is actually the car that Jeff Burton won at Texas back when the Cup cars ran this configured car.
And you know, we talked about Rob Brent making his Nationwide Series debut next week at Road America. So will Tim George Jr. He's going to run an RCR car there on the road course. And again, that's his background. So look for some good runs out of those guys.
Wendy.
Well, Tim George Jr. also lost a lot of practice time yesterday with some ignition box problems, but Tim feels very confident about the program they have going on in the ARCA series right now. He said one of the greatest people that he's been talking to at RCR has been Clint Boyer, but it was not an easy friendship. Clint Boyer said, hey, you're a guy from New York City. He wanted Tim George to prove he knew a thing or two about Clint Boyer. Clint said, if you can name 3 songs on my iPod, I will give you some advice. Well, it took Tim George Jr. about 20 attempts at guessing what was on Clint Boyer's iPod. After that, they've remained friends, and Clint Boyer has followed Tim George's career in the ARCA series and continued to give him some advice.
I would have given him 3 country songs, and I think I could have got Clint Boyer's iPod nailed.
How about Eddie Sharp racing here? This is Craig Ghost. He got that big win last week at Pocono. This is what Eddie Sharp has done over the last 3 or 4 years. Brought Michael McDowell in. Extremely successful. Fought for the championship right down to the very end with 4 wins. Scott Speed the same thing. Went to their last race at Toledo with a chance at the championship. They had 4 wins. And Justin Lofton with a terrific season last year. 6 wins in the championship for Eddie Sharp. And there's Eddie right there.
Watching very, very intently on what is taking place on the racetrack. Craig Ghost out front, Mikey Kyle, Clay Rogers, Steve Arpin, and Nelson Piquet Jr. your top 5. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is brought to you by Burger King. We remind you to have it your way. By Ansel, for over 100 years, the world leader in hand protection. And by the #1 rated Scratch Doctor. Keep your car looking great with Scratch Doctor.
Scratch Doctor.
Mike?
These guys have been running 20-some laps, Phil, since they pitted for 4 tires. And, you know, we saw Josh Richards, whoa, close, almost contact off turn 4 there. Patrick Shelter underneath Steve Arpin. He makes it work. But guys, anytime a tire blows, as a crew guy and as a race car driver, you want to believe he ran over something. That's why it blew. It's not tire wear. But we're getting into that range now where if there was some tire wear, some concerns about how those right front tires were standing up. And you said it earlier, Rick, this is a big track with a lot of turns. So it's really hard on those right front tires. If there were issues with the tires, that's when people are starting to set on pins and needles a little bit right now and say, okay, if the caution comes out, I hope it isn't us, first of all. And secondly, we need to come in and get some tires.
You know, all the crew chiefs were looking at those right front tires that they took off when all the leaders pitted on lap number 31 during that caution flag. While we were away at break, Nelson Piquet Jr., the 6 car, got by Steve Arpin to take over the 4th position, and then we saw Patrick Shelter get by to take over 5th.
Looks like Arpin's car is beginning to go away with him a little bit. Watch these 2 off turn 4. Shelter's trying all he can to hold it off of Arpin, but it just, momentum wanted to carry him up there. Steve didn't take it all the way out to the outside wall. I'm sure Patrick didn't count on that, and they almost made contact.
14 on the inside. That's Nick Igdalski.
Just outside of the top 20 right now. Nick's being shown a couple of laps down. There's Nelson Piquet Jr. We were talking about him a moment ago, up to the 4th position. That's 3rd. That white car right in front of him, the 42 of Clay Rogers. Right now, Nelson Piquet Jr. running some extremely quick lap times. Not quite as quick as what Craig Ghost and Mikey Kyle can do, but very comparable to what Clay Rogers in the 3rd position can do.
Well, I'm sorry, Rick. We watched Craig Ghost drive out to a 4.5-second lead the first run. This time, Mikey Kyle again had to get around. He got beat on the pit road, so he had to get around the car of Steve Arpin in order to get up to the 2nd spot. And now that he's there, he's beginning to whittle some of that lead away from Craig Ghost. He's only 3.5 seconds down. In the last 2 laps, he's run faster times than Ghost. So we still could have some competition for that lead before this thing's over.
There's Mikey Kyle right there, the Sears Auto Center, Die-Hard Toyota out of the Venerini Motorsports stable.
He's from Louisiana.
Really has done a nice job this year. Jumped in this team and been very, very competitive. Jim, what's going on with Mikey Kyle's day?
Well, he's just trying to find what he can find on the racetrack. He mentioned just a couple laps ago the car was tight in the center in 3 and 4, but on the verge of free off of turn number 2. So Mikey and Bill, I mean, this is a situation where is it a compromise for him, or is it a matter of just finding a place on the racetrack to run?
Well, he's obviously got a lot of speed wherever he goes. He's able to run times comparable to our leader, but I think it's just a matter of feeling your car out. It's going to change every lap, Phil. The more turns you put on those tires, they're going to react differently, and you're going to need to make a different run through the corner.
We're in the window now where if a caution were to come out, you can make it the rest of this race. And so we would see everyone on pit road if a caution were to come out. But now, who is going to start gambling and deciding to come down to pit road? And at what time do they feel like they're losing ground to our leader, Craig Ghost?
You can see the slow car there. James Harvey Hilton is coasting on the apron. It looks like he'll make it in. But Rick, I think with that right front concern, these guys might indeed pit a little bit early, but it's a catch-22. If you pit a little bit early, then somebody does blow a right front tire, then all of a sudden you're a lap down and having in jeopardy of having a good finish.
09 of Grant Enfinger has made his way into the garage area, so his day is going to be short.
Almost 4 seconds between Craig Ghost out in front and Mikey Kyle. Clay Rogers, Nelson Piquet Jr. and Patrick Shelter are your top 5. There's Mama Venerini on top of the pit box taking notes. We'll be back with more here on Speed. Take a look at our Messina Wildlife mid-race recap. Right from the start, Mikey Kyle spins the tires, gets a little bit loose. That backs up the field, at least on the outside line, and that allows the 60 of Patrick Sheltra to take second. But from that point forward, it was the 81 of Craig Gose who checked out on the field.
Seemed like Craig Gose took advantage of Mikey Kyle spinning the tires and hasn't looked back.
Josh Richards on lap 27. Cuts the right front tire, gets into the outside wall, puts debris on the racetrack. Caution comes out. Then problems for the 7 of Kent Schenkel, and they can't get the car up on the jack correctly, and so they have to bring in another one.
Rob Brent's still on the racetrack right now. Just took over the 6th position from Steve Arpin, and you can kind of watch what his feet are doing inside there.
So Craig Gose has been the only car out in front today. No lead changes. The average speed over 144 miles per hour. Just one caution. 6 cars are off the racetrack, and there are 18 still on the lead lap.
These guys are getting into that 27, 28 lap range since they put tires on these cars. And so, like we said earlier, to be a concern whether these tires are actually going to wear out or if that indeed was just a cut tire that happened to Josh Richards. So teams are getting a little bit nervous right now, getting close to that window. And what do we got? Another 20 laps probably we can run on gas?
I think so, yes.
This is a battle heating up for 3rd now. Clay Rogers in the 42, Nelson Piquet Jr. in the 6. As you mentioned, Phil, Nelson Piquet Jr. has really been clicking off some fast lap times.
And you know what I like about Clay Rogers, Phil? I think of him as a short track racer. You know, he's a cat. When you go to a half-mile track, you think Clay Rogers can get it done. Here he is on a 2-mile track. He's showing everybody I can race anywhere if I have the opportunity. Running up in that 3rd spot and battling with Nelson Piquet Jr. I bet you that's something he never thought he would hear.
A Formula One better. How about that?
And here comes Nelson Piquet Jr. ducking to the inside. He's going to take the spot away from Clay Rogers. So Nelson Piquet Jr. up to the 3rd position.
Extremely impressed. I would like to see maybe another caution flag to close this field up and see what Nelson Piquet. It looks like he's getting better and better. See what he can maybe do with those front 2 cars.
Of the 7 races this season, we have had 5 first-time winners.
How could isn't that crazy, the competition?
Now running in the top 3, Craig Gose, who won his first ever race and is considered one of those 5. He is leading, and now we have Mikey Kyle and Nelson Piquet running 2nd and 3rd. Take a closer look coming out of turn 4. He's been running a high line.
Whoa.
A little bit too high.
That was high plus a quarter right there. He did make a little bit of contact. He was hard in that throttle. You could see that right front fender now. It's not sticking out as far as it was. If he has a tight situation before, it's probably going to get even tighter now.
Yeah, you can see the tire as we look. See, you can see the tire. We couldn't see that earlier. That means that fender has bent in, and these teams rely heavily on those front fenders, that front end, to get these cars to turn in these big old long corners at MIS. So that certainly won't help him any. It'll be interesting to see if if Clayton Rogers can drive back up to Nelson Piquet Jr. and if Piquet can get up to Mikey Kyle.
Nelson Piquet is running in the 3rd spot, and actually the 42 of Clay Rogers has slowed quite a bit down from the pace.
Might have felt something with the tire, you think?
I'm not sure.
So right now Clay Rogers slower on the racetrack.
He's definitely off the pace.
Looks like maybe it's a flat. I don't know. He's
going to go by another slower car, but he's staying on the racetrack.
But he's not going to make the hard left turn onto pit road right now. Rob Brent and Patrick Sheltra battling it out for the 5th spot. Rob Brent was able to nose just in front of that 60. And again, Rob Brent has a little bit of damage to the left front of that race car, but still able to be competitive here in the top 5.
Yeah, he needs a little bit of a caution flag to maybe straighten that out a little bit. I don't think they can afford to take the time if he has to make a green flag pit stop to affect those repairs. Do you, Michael?
I don't believe so. I like the way he did down in turn 1 and 2. He just kind of explained to Patrick Sheltra he's going to need to move him over a little bit. He said, I saw you earlier, Patrick, do that. I'm going to need the same courtesy here. Rob has driven that car from the 19th starting spot all the way up into the top 5, running in 4th there. And look at the pace he's got. He's driving straight away from Patrick Sheltra, our points leader.
Again, Craig Gose is out in front. 3.7 seconds is the difference between he and Mikey Kyle. Those two have run 1-2 pretty much the entire race. At the very drop of the green flag, it was the 60 of Patrick Sheltra that got by Mikey Kyle after spinning his tires. But from that point forward, it's been Craig Gose in front of Mikey Kyle. Almost a mirror image of what we saw last week at Pocono, where Mikey Kyle dominated and Craig Gose was the only one close.
Exactly, and that's what Mikey Kyle's hoping for here.
Wendy.
Well, You guys notice Clay Rogers slow on the racetrack. He does have clutch issues. I just talked to the crew chief, Blake Bainbridge, so they know they're not going to last very long out there. More than likely, Clay Rogers will be on pit road the next time around. Unfortunate ending for Clay Rogers because we know he had a very fast race car for a guy that's not a regular contender in the ARCA series.
Yeah, he was extremely fast. Good to see him running up the front of the field, but things laid down on him.
Remember, we reported that he had clutch problems in practice, and he only got just a handful of laps, and unfortunately, they bit him here in this race, too.
There's your race leader, the 81 of Craig Goss. He has led every lap. We've completed 68, and he's been out front for all 68. Only 32 laps remain from Michigan. Stay with us. And welcome back to Michigan International Speedway. We're riding along with Steve Arpin. You see a little steam off the right front of this race car. Looks like overheat. We're hearing that he may have an engine going away.
He's currently fourth in the points, only 105 points back, and you can't afford a DNF in this series. The guy that wins the championship doesn't lay down very often. Looks like Steve's got his gloves off and thinks it's over.
Jim.
One thing, guys, is he comes behind the wall. The nose of the car has been taped up. A lot of the cars I noticed on the grid had a lot of tape across the nose. Unfortunately for this team, the overflow is now spewing on the Mike Star Lemonade Chevrolet. He talked about fighting the motor. He restarted on that after the caution in second position. The motor got hot. He pulls behind the wall. He's going to try to get that car with more water back in it, but unfortunately for him, he said the motor was going away. They want to pull some tape and cool it off. So again, the taped up nose here in this Chevrolet may be causing other problems for other teams as it's pretty warm this afternoon.
Well, 77 degrees when the green flag flew.
We talked about
earlier.
We talked about how these teams rely on those front fenders and that nose of the car to help them get through these long turns. The one thing you can do to help is close up the grill. You know, obviously you have to have air in the grill to cool the engine, but you want as little air in there as you can possibly have. Tape will help more downforce in the front end, but let's listen.
You can already see the steam coming out of the overflow there at the right side base of the windshield.
You just know that's that sound. Nothing good could come from that. As a driver, you think, darn, my race is over. As a car owner, you think, wonder what that just cost me.
We saw Clay Rogers being pushed behind the wall, so all of a sudden the attrition rate goes up.
Yeah, we have currently 11 cars on the lead lap. Frank Kimmel's actually the last car on the lead lap, and he's about to go a lap down.
But that lead for Craig Goss has been maintained anywhere from 3.5 to 4 seconds.
And he's into the back of the 10. The 10 not deciding on a line there. That's Rick Clifton in the 10. And Craig Goss has to lock the brakes up to avoid collision.
I think the 10 decided on the line. It was just the same one that Craig Goss thought he wanted. You certainly understand what, as a leader of the race, you deal with a lot of different factors out there. This lap car was something that he didn't judge correctly.
Boy, this could have really been atrocious for Craig Goss. He's running about 20 miles an hour faster.
I can't believe he got it slowed down. It looked like for sure he's going to mow right over top of him.
I believe they have short track brakes on that car, it looked like.
That was impressive to not run over top of him.
Wendy.
I think Craig Goss was just as impressed as well. They asked him, did you run into him? And he goes, I don't know how I did it, but I did not touch him. Jim?
You're complaining of a tight condition. Obviously, they're looking at the right front fender on your right-hand side of your screen for the Qualcomm Toyota of the 6 of Nelson Piquet Jr. They're going to change 4 tires here, but again, after he hit that wall, the car got really, really tight. It was loose before that. Obviously, you guys saw it on TV how loose that car got. He got it tightened up. They calmed him down. They're bringing him down pit road now, so they're good to go to the finish. But again, that right front fender was doing more damage than good, so we're going to try to get that French racer back on the racetrack. Slow stop here on the left sides now for the 6 car Freddie Sharp Racing.
Boy, it almost looks like they need to pull that right front fender out a little bit more, doesn't it?
Well, they fell off the jack, and the tire got pulled the top of the fender out. If I'm the crew chief or the driver, I want him down here pulling this green area. Pull it out where I can get me some more downforce, but the pit stop itself is going to kill him. The thing dropped off the jack, and it took him way longer than it should have.
17 also on pit road. That's Chase Mattioli. He's been on pit road a couple times today.
Chase has been up in the top 15 here. Now he will give up that top 15 position as we see Craig Goss on left of our screen lapping our 9-time champion Frank Kimmel. That only leaves 9 cars now on the lead lap with a pit stop by Nelson Piquet Jr.
Won't be long before Craig Goss will be coming to pit road as well. All these leaders will be making stops. laps here. That's all they'll need. 4 tires now, some gas, and they'll be set to the finish.
We talked earlier about with our race analysis what the fuel window was, 40 to 50 laps. It looks as though Craig Gose is closing in on it here, as he now is going to make the decision to make the hard left turn and come on to pit road.
He has to be very careful. No speeding on pit road. You want no penalty. He's got such a good car here. Just don't give it up on pit road.
And what a long drive he has, because he is in pit stall number 1.
Look at that. Look how long this pit road is.
And it seems like in the car even longer, doesn't it?
That's why it's important to remember what you said, Phil. No penalties. We've got a fast car. We got a lead. We need to be conservative on this pit stop. We don't have to force the issues. I'll come down pit road at the right speed. You guys just give me a normal, consistent pit stop. Wendy, is that what's happening?
That's what it looks like. They are going to make another track bar adjustment, but the stop for Johnny Allen called by the crew chief is going to be 4 tires wide for 2 tires by some other guys on pit road. Craig Gose told me his car was better on the short runs yesterday. From today's run, I do not believe it. Trouble on the left rear tire causes a longer pit stop for our leader, Craig Gose, which I'm not sure if that will be quite enough on that lead. He had about 3.5 seconds when he came down pit road.
Tim George sideways. He may have had to drive around the car to get in. We saw Rob Brent leaving pit road.
Quite a few cars on pit road now. Again, when our leader took to pit road, there was 11 cars on the lead lap. Now we only have 8 cars on the lead lap.
Brian Silas driving off pit road. Strong run for that car today. Oh, we got a spin. Is that going to bring out a caution?
That's at the entrance to pit road.
Let's see if Chase Mattioli spins right at the entrance of pit road. No caution flag as of yet. We'll see if he gets rolling again. And now the caution flag comes out. Unbelievable bad luck for Craig Gose.
I'll tell you, the caution flag coming out while he was on pit road last week was what helped him get the lead and win that race. Unfortunately, this is not going to be the same form today.
Mikey Kyle had not pitted.
And Mikey Kyle is out in front. He is scored as your race leader. Take a look at this. Mikey Kyle's team cheering it on, knowing that they're out front this time when the caution comes out.
Sometimes it's about a break here or there, and that's a big break.
Yeah, that's Kevin Reed, crew chief for Mikey Kyle, and he's one happy guy.
Now again, Craig Gose was your race leader for 75 laps. He was out in front of this field of the 100 lap race, came to pit road on a routine pit stop, green flag pit stops, and the caution comes out because the 17 of Chase Mattioli spins coming on to pit road.
And you know what, when these races are said to be 100 laps, you got to run all 100, and you got to be in front when it counts.
Take another look. This is the 17. He wasn't coming to pit road at that time. He was way up the racetrack.
Remember, he was just on pit road a couple laps ago.
I think that car just got loose with him and got away from him, and he wound up right at the entrance of pit road and couldn't get going. And
he does a nice job holding those brakes, locking those brakes down, avoiding the end of pit wall right there.
Our Aaron's lucky dog is going to go to 9-time champion Frank Kimmel, and so Kimmel will be back on the lead lap. That puts 5 cars on the lead lap at Michigan International Speedway. And welcome back. The ARCA Racing Series at Michigan International Speedway for the ARCA Michigan 200. Gorgeous day for racing and bad luck for Craig Gose because the caution came out when he was just coming off of pit road, and that put him a lap down after dominating 75 laps of this race.
All the lead lap cars are eligible to pit right now, and that means 4. There's only 4 of them, Jim.
4 lead lap cars, Jim.
And that green number 60, Patrick Shelcher will bring them down. He's getting second behind the 2.5. The 2.5 of Mikey Kyle has made some distance on the racetrack, and now here on pit road, the 2.5 is going to come in for a minor air adjustment to help the loose off condition off of turn 2 we talked about. So we'll see how that team does with the 4-tire change. Now Shelter comes down. He said the last change they made, a 3-round change, would made it snappy loose at turns 1 and 2. Now 2 rounds out of the left rear is the adjustment there as they take 4 tires. Now let's go down to Wendy.
Joey Coulter, who was in third when he came down pit road, could not get on the bottom. He would lose the front tires. Crew chief Harold Hawley is making a 1.5 round down on the right rear track bar, along with an air pressure adjustment, 4 tires, and it looks to be a solid stop for Joey Coulter.
The 32 of Justin Marks is the other car on pit road. He's that black car with a green hood right there, still in his pits. He just did make his way to pit road. There's the Construct Corp Toyota for Justin Marks. Nice job by those guys to keep him on the racetrack and catch this caution flag.
What about our first 3 cars? 3 of the 4 cars on the lead lap are our first 3 cars in points. So you know, with all the twists and turns, the guys up in the top end points are going to take advantage of that.
Maybe it's not accidental that they're the top 3 cars in points.
I was thinking the same thing. We didn't see all that much speed out of some of these guys. Justin Marks hadn't been up near the front, but now when we're getting down to pay out the points, he's one of the guys that's right up in the front.
So the race off pit road will put a potential winner of this race out in front of the field with only 5 cars on the lead lap. Today's aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. New Fuel Max tires help you have a winning fuel strategy. Welcome back to Michigan for the Michigan ARCA 200. For the first time, Barrett Jackson, the world's greatest car collector car auction on speed, comes to Orange County. Hundreds of restored and rare cars will be auctioned off to the highest bidders. Watch 3 days of live coverage with expert commentary. Barrett Jackson, Orange County kicks off in June on the 25th.
What about our little city we set up here in Michigan? Got a whole infield full of people, great fans in the stands, a lot of excitement, and just folks want to be a part of this place. And isn't that a great picture from the blimp? I love that.
Just about every square inch is used down there. We're going to have a tremendous restart here. Some of the guys that had already made their green flag pit stops are going to stay on the racetrack, and they will actually restart in front of the leader. That's what the new wave around in the double file restart in the Cup Series and all the 3 major series of NASCAR has done away with right now. You see Craig Ghost right now. He's up front here. He's on the tail end of the lead lap, Wendy.
The 32 of Justin Marks is in 4th spot. Now, before that caution came out, he knew he had a left front shock broken, or that's what it felt like to Justin Marks. The car has been super loose. When he came down pit road, the team did confirm the left front shock mount is broken and they can't fix it. Now, the team put wedge in to help that condition, but then he heard the words that a driver doesn't usually want to hear. You're going to have to hang on to it. Now, Allie Owens, who was going to restart 8th, had to go to the back of the pack for a penalty. I don't know if she served that penalty yet. She got blend, and the blend line is what ARCA officials were complaining about, whether or not Allie had damage. She felt she was pushed up there, guys.
Yeah, the restart happens, and again we see the 81 jump way out to the front, but he's at the tail end of the lead lap.
Something happened to Rob Brent on that restart. He was very, very slow. He really...
Oh, contact! Nelson Piquet Jr.
And a lap car. Jared Johnson. There's Brian Salas, the 11 on the inside.
Nelson Piquet Jr. also scored a lap down. He's in the 8th position.
They're getting stacked up over here. Look at Frank Kimmel come by now. Frank's one of those cars on the lead lap because it got the Aaron's lucky dog. Rob Brent, now you see him in the blue and black car, now is up to speed.
Bobby Gerhardt in the Lucas number 5, just behind Gerhardt, or just behind Frank Kimmel, but Gerhardt a lap down.
There's a lot of stuff going on right now. Guys that are fast are a lap down or on the tail end of the lead lap. The leader of the race, Mikey Kyle, he just wants us to run about 15 more laps without a caution. There's 4 or 5 other guys that want to see a caution. There's a bunch of them racing like we're going to have a caution. There's the battle for second. We've seen Shelter before.
Oh, Shelter
slides
moving up the racetrack. Almost getting into Joey Coulter in the 16, but Coulter holds on to the position. He'll stay in second.
We talked about guys on the edge of winning. My dude I talked about when the race started was Joey Coulter. 3 second-place finishes, 2 poles. Where's he running? 2nd place. We've also seen Patrick Shelter. Let's watch this restart first of all. The way these guys all split up and went every which way. Rob Brent doesn't get going, Phil. You're right.
And he just stacks them up. They have to go inside and outside to get by him. Then they had a big disparity of speed between a lot of these guys. See Nelson Piquet, watch this on the backstretch. He's in between a couple cars. He makes some contact with the 76 of Jared Johnson. Good thing that Tom Hessert, the 77, gave him some room.
You see Shelter there on the outside. Joey Coulter running in 2nd spot. We've seen Patrick Shelter before just run down in the corner and slide up and move people out of his way. I don't know with 10, 15 laps to go if Joey Coulter's going to allow that to happen now.
Let me reset. With 15 to go, we've got Mikey Kyle out front. He is your leader, but we have Craig Ghost in the 81 in front of Mikey Kyle. He is on the tail end of the lead lap. Now, he's the last car on the tail end of the lead lap. He is scored in the 6th position right now.
Remember, Craig Ghost really almost needs, if the caution flag would have come out right now, he would be able to pull all the way back around in line with the lead lap cars. If he got behind Mikey Kyle and got the Aaron's lucky dog, then he would have to start the tail end of the field. So he desperately needs the caution flag to come out very, very quickly.
With just 14 laps remaining. Again, it's Mikey Kyle out front. Then it's Joey Coulter running second. Patrick Sheltra is third. Fourth is Justin Marks. Fifth is Frank Kimmel. Now, they all restarted on the lead lap. In front of those lead lap cars at the tail end of the lead lap was Craig Gose. So he is trying to hold on to a lead lap position. And as you said, Phil, trying to get a caution. He needs a caution to be back in contention for the win here today.
Remember, when we get to 10 laps to go, they will not issue lucky dogs like NASCAR used to be. So we only have about 4 more laps for Craig Gose to have any shot of winning this race.
And Joey Coulter, you see him running up on the bumper of Tim George Jr. Tim is a lap down. He'll need to get around George in a hurry if he wants to track down Mikey Kyle. And the thing is, Phil, those cars are running comparable times. They're only a second or so apart, but the lap car of Tim George Jr. could play a role in this.
Yeah. Tim George is the one that would be in position to get the Aaron's lucky dog. He is the one that has to have that caution with 10 to go.
Right.
If Craig Gose gets it, he can get on the last lap and he'll pull right up behind those guys.
Yeah, it's only the Aaron's lucky dog that is inside that 10-lap window that you were talking about. Joey Coulter, Tim George Jr. just in front of Joey Coulter, but Tim George Jr. again scored a lap down to the field.
Joey Coulter needs to get around George Jr. in order to continue his pursuit of Mikey Kyle. That's just slowing him down there, Phil. It's taking air off the front of that car. It won't handle the way it does normally. You can see Kyle up there in the distance driving away.
He's fallen about 2 seconds behind right now. He has a half a second on Patrick Sheltra for the third position. Justin Marks about 6.5 seconds behind. Frank Kimmel about 9.5 seconds behind.
Again, Joey Coulter, one of the drivers that we teased and we talked about at the beginning of this race, has never won, could be a first-time winner in the series. Well, the guy he's chasing right now, Mikey Kyle, is another driver we talked about, has not ever won in the ARCA Racing Series, looking for his first ever win.
Meanwhile, the guy running fifth right now, Frank Kimmel, he's won 74 times.
He's looking for his 75th win, but it's been a long time, since 2008, since Frank Kimmel has been to victory lane. Mikey Kyle out front. We're going to take a quick break and be back for the final laps here at Michigan International Speedway. Stay with us. Welcome back. Mikey Kyle looking for his first ever win in the ARCA Racing Series. He leads Joey Coulter by 2.5 seconds.
10 laps to go. There's Patrick Sheltra right now. That is not a battle for position. That's Chad Finley, the 29 car. He runs right now in the 8th position.
He's another guy that doesn't come very often, but when he does, he's ready to go. He's up in the top 10 again. Solid run.
That's Brad Keselowski's car. I think this is the last race I think that they have funding for, as we see Patrick Sheltra go ahead and get by him.
Trying to on the bottom of the racetrack. We've seen Patrick Sheltra run that mid-track line for most of the race. Slides up behind the 29 of Chad Finley. Finley stays in front of that 60. And again, those two cars are chasing after the 16 of Joey Coulter.
And remember, Chad Finley is chasing after the 31 car right in front of Joey Coulter of Tim George Jr. because that would be a position for him. That would be 7th. He's the first car right now, 1 lap down is Tim George.
What about how the tables have turned since last week? We saw exactly the opposite thing happen at Pocono. One thing it has in common, the only 2 leaders this week, just like last week, are Gose and Kyle. But it's playing out much differently this week than it did last week with those two, huh?
Greg Gose was on pit road last week when the caution came out, but Pocono, it takes almost 57, 58 seconds to get around there. He was able to make that pit stop and get back on the lead lap. And then Mikey Kyle had to come in and make a pit stop, and he got out behind him. Obviously, Craig Gose was able to stay on the racetrack. Unfortunately, Michigan, even though it's a big racetrack, you run about 20 seconds faster here, and it was not enough time for Craig Gose to do his pit work and get back on the racetrack without losing a lap.
So as we look at the monitors, Craig Gose 3 or 4 tenths a lap faster than everybody on the track. But unless the caution flies here in the next 7 laps, it's not going to matter how fast he is, because Mikey Kyle's going to get this win.
If you do the math, he's going to have a lot of laps to get back around and catch the guys that are in front of him. He's had a dominant race car, and that's the disappointing thing for Craig Gose today, as we see our leader, Mikey Kyle, taking the stripe at just over 173 miles an hour. still the fastest, but we would have to wait a whole lap to find out what Craig Gose is doing, because he's scored at the tail end of the lead lap in sixth.
But look how competitive our first three are. They're all running within a couple of mile and a half an hour of each other, and that just tells you that this series is that competitive. There's no given. If Mikey Kyle slips in a turn or two, then here comes Patrick Sheltra and Coulter.
And remember, Justin Marks right now running fourth is off the pace because of that broken shock mount on the left front. He's just going to limp around here. He has a good cushion on the fifth place car, Frank Kimmel, who had to start at the very back. So Justin Marks looks like he's going to be able to hold on to a top 5 finish for sure.
Yeah, Kimmel had to start at the back because he received the Aaron's lucky dog. So as you'd mentioned before, you restart at the tail end of the long line. Kimmel's been able to battle back, but holding on to that fifth spot. Justin Marks running fourth, Patrick Sheltra's third, Joey Coulter in the second spot as he creeps up the racetrack just a bit.
And we can talk all day long about Mikey Kyle having a 3.5 second lead. If the caution flag was to come back out, then he's going to have to contend with Craig Gose.
That's going to be fun to see if that happens. You can see here on the bottom of the racetrack with a lot of momentum.
Chad Finley,
remember, going after that 31 car for position right in front of him now.
And Joey Coulter is running second. That's the car that Chad Finley just went by. But again, Finley is a lap down.
The car just in front of him is his position. He's trying to chase down Tim George Jr. Looks like he's got the speed to do it with, too.
Running that high line, just 5 laps of racing to go.
Chad Finley was about 3.5 tenths of a second faster that last lap than Tim George was. He's about 8 car lengths behind him right now.
Mikey Kyle coming off of his career best finish, which was second at Pocono 6 days ago, was disappointed with that finish because he knew he had the strongest race car in Pocono. And now the tables have turned. Craig Gose obviously had the strong car today, but because a caution came out when Craig Gose was on pit road and was a lap down, that puts Mikey Kyle now in the driver's seat to get his first ever win in this series.
Well, some would say turnabout's fair play.
And I'm guessing right now Mikey Kyle is singing that song. Take another look. Here's Mikey Kyle coming to the bottom of the 7 of Kent Schenkel. Close.
That was probably closer than you want to have with a 4-second lead inside of 5 laps to go.
Yeah, you want to ride home if you can. That's your goal. But certainly the difference in speed between our leader and the 7 car was quite a lot. And Schenkel barely cleared him.
6 miles remaining for Mikey Kyle. He is that close to his first ever win in the ARCA Racing Series.
He's just hoping the caution doesn't fly and nothing breaks on his car. That's what he's thinking right now. And if he could see this kind of action, we would think the caution might fly.
Chad Finley in the 29 coming up on the back bumper of that 31 of Tim George Jr. That is a battle for position. Those two racing for the 7th spot right now. Tim George Jr. has it. Chad Finley's the faster car on the track. Let's see if he's able to get by.
And remember, because of the way the caution flag fell, these guys both are a lap down. That's the 2nd place car behind them. So that's how good these cars are. But unfortunately, due to an ill-timed caution flag for them, as we see Chad Finley going to drive around the outside.
Here comes Finley trying to take 7th away from Tim George Jr. He'll make the pass. He takes the position. Again, inside 2 laps. There's your race leader, Mikey Kyle, looking for that white flag in the ARCA Racing Series. Once the white flag comes out, actually you can continue to race even if a caution comes out. They'll continue to try to finish under green. He will see the white flag one more time around for Mikey Kyle before his first win in the ARCA Racing Series.
Still has a 5-second lead. There's our 2nd place car right there, Joey Coulter. Looks like Michael might get another 2nd place finish. That'll be number 4 for him in his career.
Knocking on the door.
Continues to put that car in the right place week in and week out, but has just fallen 1 position short. This may be the 4th time. Mikey Kyle trying to make it 6 different first-time winners in the 2010 season for the ARCA Racing Series.
I can't believe that. That's amazing. That many different first-time winners.
Out of 8 races.
This is the 8th race, but it's the first win for Mikey Kyle here in the ARCA Racing Series.
Another great run by Joey Coulter with a 2nd place finish. Patrick Sheltra, our point leader, coming in. He's going to solidify that with a 3rd place finish. Justin Marks, 4th coming in. Looks like he's going to get a 4th place finish here, just to lose a very little bit of ground to Patrick Shelton.
And the celebration starts for the 25 team. Mikey Kyle making it to victory lane for the first time in his ARCA Racing Series career.
Well,
Chad Finley waving as he went by.
Big moment in that young man's life.
And again, so close a week ago. And now he's been able to capitalize on the misfortune of another driver getting caught a lap down when the caution came out, and there's the jubilation.
Yeah. Kevin Reed's not too happy, is he?
Let's hear from him, Jim.
Words cannot express the face you had, the facial expressions, those last 3 laps you were riding in that cockpit with Mikey Kyle. You've worked so hard on this race car, Kevin. Put in the words that you're feeling right now with a victory here in the ARCA Racing Series.
But we work 18, 19 hours a day, and these guys never give up on me. This Sears Auto Center diehard batteries Toyota was great all day. Craig was a little better than us. They stole it from us last week, and it come around this week. Thank God. And Jennifer and the kids, I'll be home in the morning.
John Quinn helps call this race. You've had a great event the last couple of weeks. How are you going to keep the momentum going here into Iowa?
We're looking forward to Iowa. Got a brand new race car for Iowa. We're just now hitting our stride. The last 4 weeks we've been on the front row, either on the pole or on the outside pole. And Mikey's just doing an awesome job.
Kevin Reed, again, very emotional here. His first victory as a crew chief in the ARCA Racing Series. This chassis 68's been a magical one for the Venturini Motorsports crew.
Hope he doesn't burn that chassis down here, doing these burnouts.
What a great victory lane celebration it's going to be when that young driver makes it in. You see young Billy Venturini celebrating with his winning crew chief.
He was calm till he got in sight.
That's a great moment. Nothing like a first win, huh, Rick?
ARCA Michigan 200 winner will be in victory lane when we come back. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is brought to you by Messina Wildlife Management. Stop animal damage with Messina Wildlife Management. And by Aaron's. Everyone's a lucky dog at Aaron's. The lucky dog of the day in Michigan International Speedway is in victory lane. Mikey Kyle about to climb out of the car. Let's go there.
And a lot of crew members here celebrating with Mikey Kyle. Ma Venturini, Kathy Venturini in the window. Mikey Kyle again was hoping this would be a week ago. He's waited a week to win with a very fast race car. The wheel has come off for this Westlake, Louisiana native. Just 8 starts last year, jumped at the chance to race with Venturini Motorsports and committed to a full schedule in 2010. With this opportunity paying off in the 7th race of the 2010 season. Mikey now hanging up that helmet, and I'm certain we're going to see a little bit of water and maybe a little Gatorade as he climbs from his potent Toyota. Mikey, come on out of there. And this driver doesn't care about points. He led a bunch of laps today. Success and victory is his. Mikey Kyle and Billy Venturini exchange. Crew chief Kevin Reed now with a big bear hug. And Mikey, the disappointment last week has to be a distant memory now. How'd you do it today?
Yeah, we just kept our cool, raced the racetrack, and luckily this time the caution come out when we needed it, so everything played our way. Man, can't think ain't Sears Auto Center, diehard batteries, Tag Heuer Eyewear, everybody that helps this program, man. Awesome day, awesome day.
Your race strategist, John Quinn, was very calm on the radio. How calm were you behind the wheel when that car got a little bit loose off of turn 2, lap after lap?
It come to us late in the run, though. It tightened up a little bit, and man, I was just hoping, though, last week we late in the run, the caution come out, and I was like, man, we don't need a caution, don't need a caution. And I was thinking the same thing, just please, no caution, and then count down the laps. Man, them last 5 laps couldn't come quick enough. That's the longest 5 laps I think I ever drove in my life.
How can you back this up at Iowa Speedway? You had a very fast race car at Pocono, led a bunch of laps, a different car, different opportunity on a 1-mile track coming up here in a couple of weeks.
Well, yeah, good thing is all the cars at Venturini Motorsports are awesome. We're taking a sister car to this to Iowa. Really look forward to that. I raced there before, really good in the past. Man, just looking forward to all the races, really. We're going to be great everywhere.
He will not stop smiling, I can guarantee that, until he head to Iowa come July 10th. Wendy?
Well, thank you. Oh, great. A big kiss from Big Papa Venturini. I'm with Craig Gose, who clearly had a very fast race car today. You come home sixth, Craig, but it's almost out of your control.
Yeah, it was. We had a dominant car all day. I got to thank my guys and everybody at A Sharp Racing, Greenville Toyota. I mean, we had the car to beat. We didn't. I mean, we just pulled away after every pit stop, and unfortunately, we chose to pit first. Caution came out right afterwards. Couldn't get caught back up in time and put us a lap down. And you can't come back from a lap down, no matter how good your car is, without at least another caution. You know, we didn't get that in those last 12 laps, but we still put away from everybody again. But the sheet does not reflect how good of a car we had, obviously.
And with last week's win at Pocono and a good top 10 finish today, Craig, you moved up 3 spots in the points to 4th. Does that mean anything for your big picture?
Oh, sure. You know, it's a solid points day for us. Would have loved for it to have been better, but it, you know, definitely could have been a lot worse too. So, like I said, I want to thank everybody again who put the effort into this car. We had the car to beat today.
All right, Craig Gose. Of course, everyone agreed with those sentiments. Craig Gose comes home 6th.
Take a look at our point standings through 8 races. These are unofficial. Patrick Shelter still up front, ahead of Justin Marks. Mikey Kyle running in the 3rd position points-wise. Craig Gose up 1 more spot to the 4th position, and Frank Kimmel continues to inch closer to the top spot, looking for his 10th ever championship in this series.
I think we're going to see these guys battle right down to the very end. There's his crew chief going to get the flag.
Celebration will continue all night long for the 25 team. Welcome back. The ARCA Michigan 200 in the books from Michigan International Speedway. It's Mikey Kyle that grabs his first ever win in the ARCA Racing Series. Now let's head back trackside to, actually, the results will go across the top of the screen. You can take a look at those. We go back trackside to Jim Trado.
With the driver finished second, certainly on the top of the list now of a driver on the cusp of a victory. Joey Coulter, great run today. Your second place finish of the season. Tell us about your run.
It was a great day. We fought hard. Car wasn't perfect off the start. Guys in the pits did a great job. Harold made awesome calls. Pit guys picked up spots every stop. Just great day on pit road. We had a 1 groove race car. It got held up a little bit behind the 31, but just a great run. Second's awesome. You know, we've been having a lot of bad luck, and it's really great to have it stop every once in a while. I'm really looking forward to Iowa. It's a great, you know, always have a good race there. It's an awesome day for Rip It. Those guys are here. Got to thank them. Daryl Gwynn, Tempest Cycles, because without them we wouldn't be here.
And crew chief Harold Holly getting it done with this young driver. Wendy?
Our points leader, Patrick Shelter, a good solid 3rd place run. Patrick, assess your day, because we didn't hear so much about you, but there you were at the end.
Yeah, you know, we fell back a little bit there from our qualifying spot. We started 3rd there, and it got real tight, so in the long run, so we just kept working on it. We never could really get the balance just right in the race car, so we ended up tight here at the end, you know. Ended up 3rd. We had a good day, good points day, you know. That's what we got to do to continue leading these points here.
Is it where you want to be? Obviously, you gained a few more points from Justin Marks, but not quite enough, Pat, to make you feel comfortable.
Yeah, that's what I just asked him when we got out of the race cars. How many more times is this going to happen? You know, we finished right in front of each other and behind each other. So, I mean, you know, hopefully we just keep on, you know, and get to the top 10s and top 5s. You know, we're the only car that has had that all year. So we just continue that on, and hopefully we continue the points lead.
All right, congratulations, Patrick Shelter. 8 top 10s in a row, guys.
And as you mentioned, that equals the points lead. As we look again at the points, Patrick Shelter up front. Justin Marks lost 5 points to him today.
What this great point battle here, especially for the top 3. Craig Gose is getting stronger and stronger. He's certainly not out of it. Frank Kimmel, 9-time champion. He knows how to win these things. But the thing I can't get over, we've had 6 first-time winners in 8 races this season.
It's amazing, the competition at the front of the field at ARCA. Every week, you don't know who's going to be able to bring it all home. First win, I know that feeling and how good it must feel.
You talk about 6 out of 8. The first race was won by Bobby Gerhardt at Daytona, and he wins all the time at Daytona. And then the only other race that wasn't won by a first-time winner, well, it was Steve Arpin winning his 2nd ever race, and he won it back-to-back when he won at Texas. So the big smiles on the face of Mikey Kyle and every one of the team members grabbing that first-time win. There were people with problems on the track, people enjoying the race from the infield, people enjoying it from the grandstands. But the guy with the biggest smile on his face at the end of the day was the 25 of Mikey Kyle, grabbing his first ever win in the ARCA Racing Series. Thanks for joining us here on Speed.